Deleted session, August 10th, 1977. Now, good evening. Give us a moment. The tension in the head area was applied gradually over a period of time. Rupert was not aware of it specifically, as he began to limit, say, the range of the eye's motions. For that happened inconspicuously enough as the head motions were restricted. In a manner of speaking, everything was in proportion. The picture fit together so well, in fact, that you say it was a smooth overall performance. As stated, those head tensions eventually caused all the other difficulties. The tension resulted in jaw pressures, affecting the teeth, the sinuses, and in particular the tightening of large ligaments in the neck. The nerves in those areas were not as responsive then. The body's latest efforts to heal itself, Rupert's strong intent to become flexible, and your own help and encouragement have led to a situation in which all of those tensions, exerted over a long period of time, are in a process of rather speedily being released. They are bound to cause certain sensations, unfamiliar feelings, unsynchronized motions. If the process were slower, of course, you might not notice the sensations. Just about all of the ligaments are softening, and then releasing. In a rather rhythmic pattern, the same applies to muscles. The activation awakens the nerves so that they are more stimulated than before. Circulation is quickened, further stretching veins and arteries, so that they become more elastic. All of this adds up to a good amount of bodily commotion, I admit. In this rhythm generally, first the right and then the left neck arteries are affected, releasing so far. The eye on the walking side must readjust. Last week, the eyes were relatively comfortable, for the process was continuing in lower portions of the body. This week, the right neck ligaments continued a new release that affects the ears, sinus, and head pressures. And of course, the eyes also. The moisture is protection. The bulging is largely the result of sinus pressure, which is then relieved as the jaw relaxes more and the passages relax. Those passages can become congested simply because of the increased circulation in the head area. In this process, however, the entire body is being improved rather than, say, specific areas. He knows he feels softer, both ordinary tissue and his muscles. What I said about speed being returned is quite true, although this is not experienced as whole body motion as yet. Give us a moment. All of this does require a trust in the body's strength and resources. The improvements themselves are learning processes, as Rupert learns to trust the body as before he did not. These processes result in definite improvement of performance, which is what you want, of course. Rupert sits down more easily. For example, his body can raise up further while standing, though not as yet while walking. The important thing is to keep up your spirits again, as the stages result in definite improvement of performance. For this, of course, then add to your confidence. The main work, meaning basic work with the neck ligaments, should soon be over, so that the eyes will be far more comfortable, and the other changes largely show in the body's lower portions. The head tensions and those ligaments, however, are keys that before locked the shoulders, arms, and chest in a given position. forcing the knees to bend for the sake of balance. Again, I mentioned the heart towers. The release so far of those thick ligaments has allowed for the awakening of nerves in the knees, and the beginning release of the ligament group here, highly important. Ralph noted underneath the knees. Seth said the eyes themselves are moving somewhat more spontaneously, though the emotions sometimes are not synchronized, causing at the edges of vision the add motion of images. The letting down feelings can be added to Ruber, for he held himself under such tight rein for so long. I am trying to make a point without overstressing it. You cannot expect such overall bodily changes and not expect to feel them. The symptoms crept up on Ruber, so to speak, now. It is true there are miraculous instant healings. I will discuss them at another time. Often they are permanent. On other occasions, they may rid the individual of one problem in such a way that he only finds a different one. It may seem that the body's release should only bring feelings of comfort and greater ease. The body mends itself in its own way, however, and you will put your own psychological judgments upon its sensations. Ligaments, as they release out both much action, they try themselves out. They will appear to dangle, and then to tighten and dangle again. The body coming to life active, and its activity may clamor at times. When you are not used to trusting the body, then those activities may seem to be causes for alarm, and such fears should be expressed, as long as the other definite feelings of comfort, ease, quickness, or flexibility are also expressed. The tendons, muscles, and nerves in the entire pelvis area, for example, have been refreshingly soft, more and more flexible. The feet and ankles are continuing their improvements. Give us a moment. All of these processes and the increased overall bodily activity do increase Ruber's temperature at times. I am not saying that he has a fever, but that there are accelerations of energy that often bring local rushes of circulation and heat. In hot, humid weather, that does become noticeable. The sweating is also the result of increased bodily activity. Take your break. You can have an overall plan for life as long as it is not too rigid, but you live your life a day at a time. Biologically, you must live in the present. I am not going into the reasons again for Ruber's condition. One of the primary attitudes, however, has to do with trying to fight all battles at once, a good many of them imaginary. He tried to escape from distractions, in capital letters, in a black and white fashion, making no distinctions at all. For a while, anything that was not writing was a distraction. Living each day at a time, you respond to the present, and you need not in one day protect yourself from a lifetime of projected distractions or threats to your time that must, in your day, be imaginary, since they are probable events from the future. Distractions can be easily dealt with as they occur by making conscious decisions. They do not require all of the effort and psychological technology of a nuclear war. Ralph noted with humor. Seth said they do not require the full artillery of your defenses, a great waste of your time and effort that could, of course, be devoted to your work. The man working here. Ralph noted on Jane's back room and porch. said, are distracting. They are not enemies. To Ruber, they represent the world at your door, yet he is seeing other people in a truer light as a result. They are not creatures to be feared, run from. They do not have guns. The larger threat was in his mind. Regardless of your attitudes, perhaps those men do not think you both strange for walking at home. They recognize you as a different breed than themselves, with different interests and abilities that they rather envy. They even try not to disturb you. Ruber's room, in which he hoped to be highly creative, is being built by such people who do know their own kind of creativity and salute creativity in others. While the affair is distracting, then it is highly worthwhile on deeper levels. It is highly advantageous to consider yourself a writer or an artist and pursue those goals. If you identify too strongly with those categories, however, then you can also concentrate upon the differences between you and others, or you and the world at large, and ignore the large context of interrelationship that provides the context in which such categories can exist. Television, oddly enough, provides for many people an opportunity to leap over restrictive categories and to identify in other ways, perhaps, than they would otherwise. The people who read will read, television or not. There are millions, however, who are not readers, and through television they do indeed enlarge upon their viewpoints. In this life, Ruber knew his neighborhood as a child, and his feelings about people were not tempered by television programs showing normal families or other ways of life. He believed that life was a life and death struggle, and having finally found what he wanted to do, his mode of survival, he brought out all of his artillery to protect himself while he did his thing. He overgeneralized so that each smallest distraction brought out the entire array. Writing would get him the fullest use of his abilities and fulfillment, his own approval and yours, financial security, and hopefully some kind of success in terms of a reputation. You must remember what I told you of your reactions during those years. But your situation, to him, meant that he must work twice as hard, and perhaps have to make it for both of you. In that way of thinking, the symptoms gave him the opportunity to stay home and produce, and yet also served to keep you in a line of importance. For it would be obvious that his success was also dependent upon your help, and other nefarious connections that all fit in. In all of this, he did not until recently realize, or want to realize, that he was not fully responding to his own life, or even that he was not fully functional. But responsive was the word. Also, you told fears between you like a ball, so that when one was optimistic, the other one was down. You do have to be saints or prophets. Your belief in the power of the present, and in Ruber's recovery, as stated lately in these sessions, must, however, outbalance your doubts. Shortly, the improvements in performance, you see, will give you practical evidence that will in itself accelerate further improvements. Your confidence will increase in the same proportion that earlier your doubts did. Now give us a moment. Those feelings of confidence arouse bodily healing processes and promote the proper hormones, for example, and provide a climate in which healing naturally occurs. That climate is sometimes suddenly produced. In a church congregation, for example, where it acts dramatically to bring about a healing. Unless the individual learns, however, to induce that psychological climate personally, the healing may not last. Unless you have further questions, I will end the session, which I devoted to the subject for your edification. Ralph said, "No questions is being very good." They said, "Then I bid you a fond good evening." Ralph said, "Thank you very much." They said, "Your behavior last night was most helpful." Ralph said, "Yes, good night."